Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, really dig into them, and pull out the most important insights and bits of knowledge. Our whole goal is pretty simple: help you get really well informed, fast, and maybe uncover a few surprising things along the way. Today, we're jumping into something, well, kind of curious. It's a case involving some disappearing guppies and a bit of a spawning mystery in an outdoor pond. Our source for this is a really interesting post called Excerpts from Guppy Spawning Mystery in the Outdoor Pond. Notes on Fishkeeping, Part 128. It's by a writer named Ang, published just recently, August 14th, 2025. We're going to use Ang's notes to explore, the challenges of watching these little ecosystems and maybe discover the surprising jobs even tiny creatures do. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because what Ang's observations show, even if they feel a bit incomplete, like just a snapshot, is that what looks like just a simple bit of water can actually be this complex little world, the surface, what you see. That's often just the start. It really makes you rethink what empty or simple even means in nature. These kinds of backyard observations, they give us these incredibly valuable little windows into natural behavior, how life adapts. They raise some big ecological questions, honestly.
That's a really good point. A backyard pond isn't a lab. So let's picture this. Ang has this outdoor pond, and right away, you got to forget the idea of a clean, controlled indoor fish tank. We're talking more natural, right? Exposed, open to the weather, whatever that brings. And into this pond, Ang added 2 new pairs of red-tailed guppies. That was a few weeks back. So 4 adult fish total, starting out on this wilder space.
Exactly. And that difference, indoor tank versus outdoor pond, it's not just looks, it's fundamental. It shapes everything about observing them. Indoors usually have, stable light, temperature, clear water. You can see almost everything. Very controlled. Outdoors, it's dynamic. Sunlight changes all day. Rain messes with the water chemistry. Temperature swings. Plus, usually way more plants. Maybe some algae, leaves falling in, insects buzz around. All that stuff makes just seeing the fish harder. They can blend in, hide in shadows, find cover that just isn't there in a display tank. It's kind of a constant tug of war between us wanting to see and nature's instinct to hide.
Right, and that's where this gets really interesting because despite all those challenges you just mentioned, Ang did see success at first. The guppies, those 4 adults, they definitely spawned. Ang actually saw fry, the tiny baby fish. Proof, a new generation. So, okay, reproduction happened, great. But then, bam, the puzzle. Right after seeing the fry, Ang notices only 1 adult fish, a male, is swimming around near the surface. The other 3, poof, gone, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, fry appearing, then adults vanishing. That's a classic little nature mystery right there. And it's worth remembering, guppies are live bearers. They don't lay eggs you have to find later. They give birth to tiny swimming fish. So seeing those fry is direct proof. Boom, babies. But then, having 3 out of 4 adults just disappear right after. That makes you wonder, did something happen? Are they vulnerable after spawning? Or is it just, their survival instincts kicking in? Often the first thing you check isn't disaster, it's the environment. It's actually pretty common for fish to lay low after breeding or just get really good at hiding once the job's done.
Okay, so Ang's got this puzzle. Fish are missing. What's the first thought? Panic? Or is this just pond life? And Ang considers 2 main ideas. One is, well, the sad one. Maybe they just didn't make it, didn't survive. But the second idea, which Ang thinks is more likely, is that they're just really well hidden within the thick, common salvinia plants. That sounds like a serious hiding spot, like a dense floating green mat.
Exactly. And that second theory, hiding in the plants, is way more probable in this kind of setup, especially with common salvinia. If you don't know it, salvinia is this floating fern. It can spread really fast, cover the surface, and it has these roots or leaves dangling down. Think of it like a floating upside-down forest canopy underwater. It creates this incredibly dense, complex structure. It's perfect cover, not just for tiny fry hiding from birds or bugs or bigger fish, but also for adult fish wanting to get out of the sun, rest, or just avoid anything they see as a threat, even just a shadow passing overhead. It's nature's camouflage, basically. And it really makes you think, how much does the pond structure, the plants, dictate what we think is there? What we see from above is often just, a tiny fraction of the real population, especially with small fish. Hiding is just a core survival skill. Guppies are good at it. They blend in. They find cover when they feel exposed. Or maybe just when they see someone like Ang looking in. It's like trying to count chameleons in a rainforest. You know they're around, but spotting them, that's a whole other challenge.
Huh. Counting chameleons, I like that. So the pond itself, the plants, they're almost playing hide and seek with Ang. It really shows how much we miss, even when we think we're watching closely. So where they went is one mystery, but it also makes you think about what they were doing there in the first place. And this leads to Aang's interesting take on guppies not just being pretty fish.
Exactly. And calling them aquatic gardeners is, I think, really insightful. It speaks to their ecological role, which often gets missed because people focus on the colors or how fast they breed. These little guys are workhorses in a pond ecosystem. They're known for eating stuff that can cause problems, like algae. They graze on it constantly, which helps keep the water clear and stops those big, sometimes harmful algae blooms, the ones that can suck oxygen out of the water.
Okay, so they're helping keep the pond clean just by eating.
Right. And maybe even more importantly, especially outdoors, is they eat mosquito larvae. A lot of them. Anywhere you have standing water, mosquitoes can become a real nuisance or worse. Guppies are fantastic biological control for them. No chemicals needed. Plus, they nibble on other little bits of detritus, decaying plants, tiny organisms. They're constantly tidying up. So their function, their actual job in keeping the pond balanced and healthy can be way more valuable than just looking nice, especially for someone practical like Aang. They're like a living, self-replicating cleanup crew. It just shows that sometimes the best solutions for managing these little ecosystems are already built in by nature, working away quietly.
That's really amazing. Such a small fish having that kind of impact. It makes you realize every creature, no matter how simple it seems, has a role. So it's more than just a guppy mystery. It's about how nature solves problems. Now, looking forward, Aang mentions wanting to explore other fish species for the pond, moving beyond guppies because Aang says there's just not a huge passion for the species. Given that practical utilitarian view, what kind of things do you have to think about when swapping species in a little ecosystem like this? What are the risks or opportunities?
That's a really practical next step for Aang to consider. And it touches on something key in managing any contained ecosystem, really, even a small pond. Choosing new food isn't just about what you like the look of. There's some big ecological things to weigh up. First, obviously, is compatibility. Can the new species actually thrive there? Not just survive, but do well with the water, the temperature swings, the space.
Right, it's not just about staying alive.
Exactly. Then you've got to think about their impact on what's already there. If Aang likes the salvinia, will the new fish eat it? Or dig up other plants? What about their waste? Will they change the water quality more than the guppies did? Need more cleaning, maybe? And a really big one is behavior. Are they peaceful? Or will they bully or even eat other things Aang wants in there, like maybe those guppy fry if they ever show up again? It's a balancing act. You don't want to add something new and accidentally throw the whole existing system off kilter.
So you're basically acting like a mini ecosystem designer trying to predict all the knock-on effects. Sounds like it takes some homework. Aang is looking for utility. Besides eating algae and mosquitoes like the guppies, what other jobs might a different fish do that Aang could be looking for?
Good question. Aang's trying to fine-tune the system. Guppies are great all-rounders, but other fish specialize. For instance, if algae is still a major issue, maybe Aang needs a more dedicated algae eater, a real specialist herbivore. Or if there's lots of gunk building up on the bottom, maybe something that sifts through the substrate, like a type of bottom feeder or scavenger. Or maybe visibility is still the main goal, perhaps a fish that stays more in the open mid-water, or one with colors that really stand out against the plants. There are lots of possibilities, different ways fish contribute, from pest control to nutrient cycling. It's about finding the right biological tool for the specific ecological job Aang wants done.
Absolutely fascinating. It really shows the depth of thought that can go into even a small backyard setup. So let's wrap up this deep dive. We've looked into Aang's mystery of the disappearing guppies, learning how plants like common salvinia can act like incredible hiding places, really challenging what we think we see. We also talked about that often overlooked role of guppies as aquatic gardeners, doing important work cleaning up algae and mosquito larvae, keeping their little world healthy. It's just a great reminder that even small, everyday observations can open up really profound insights into how nature works.
It really does. And maybe that leaves us with a thought for you, our listener. Aang's pond shows us that our immediate surroundings, even something familiar like a backyard, are complex systems, often with a lot going on just out of sight. So how much of the natural world around us goes unseen, even in places we walk past every day, a park, maybe a planter box, even weeds growing in a pavement crack? What other little mysteries might be playing out right under our noses, just waiting for us to slow down, look closer, ask questions, and maybe, do our own little deep dive? The world's full of these hidden stories.
That's a fantastic point. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Aang's outdoor pond. We definitely encourage you to keep observing the world around you. You never know what cool mysteries or tiny gardeners you might find in your own neighborhood. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.